This is Frankie Aberzino with the Uncensored Report, and I want to talk a little bit today about Betsy DeVos. She is up for Education Secretary. She's talking to all the senators and congressmen, whoever the hell she's before right now, and they're trying to decide, do we like her? And the Democrats are playing this usual game. Oh, we don't like her because she wants to privatize. But does she really want to? And if you go back, if you listen to somebody, Angelo Cadavila, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and they talked about just this political correctness that's rising up in the schools. And he covered how back in the 60s, teachers were caught this new way of going about covering history, if they even cover history anymore. And what they did is show that America was tainted, that we had this tainted view, that we were racist, sexist, we were greedy, we committed genocide against the natives, and we were not environmentally friendly. You know, and then you get presidents in there from Woodrow Wilson to Roosevelt to Obama, who's leaving, thank God, in a couple of days. But they sit in there and they have these, they've been redeeming these promises and putting America basically on this path of greater justice in the face of the resistance that is out there of the mass Americans. Because we're all racist, we're all sexist, and we're all stupid. And then in comes Donald J. Trump, 2 days, he's going to be inaugurated. And he's repudiating all that elitist mindset that is out there. And so a lot of people are wondering now, do we have an opportunity? Is there an opportunity out there that exists for us to co-opt, I say the Americans, the society, to co-opt what the left has done? And, you know, right now, what the left has done is they're walking hand in hand, the progressives, the left, whatever you want to call them, with the unions out there, the teacher unions out there. And they've been working exhaustively to keep their control over this educational complex, to keep this monopoly that they have on them, which has essentially oppressed the masses when it comes to education. And so in comes Betsy DeVos, who Trump's picks for education secretary. You know, many of the progressive pundits out there, the teachers unions, they just don't want her. They say she's gonna defund public schools. She's gonna privatize all schooling. And although they may be wrong in the presentation of them, I think we ought to be happy and hope and pray that she does what she is going to do. If you look at it, I was looking at this article, and it talked about the United Federation of Teachers and some of the money and their budgets that are out there, and why they want to hold control of these schools, why they want the system, the status quo to remain. If you look at their budget last year, it said it went from $168 million to $181 million this year. This is on education-related expenditures. Now, you may ask, well, what do they do? This is the same school system, the same union out there that goes out and spends money on baseball tickets, on traveling to Vegas, on the Cadillac salaries of their union bigwigs, and they don't want to give that up. They're hacks. They've been living comfortably. They don't want to let this control mechanism go. And they like to get out there. They like to solidify it with the teachers, with program political organizations like Acorn, which was defunded back in 2009 after Project Veritas went in and did that video busting them where they were basically advising and pimping and prostitution to go out there and commit tax fraud. But if you look at it, you got these huge budgets. They got all this control. You got this system out there. There's another report that's out. And it's flunked 91 city schools, and they flunked them for low graduation rates, low test scores. They cited 40 of them for a decade of teaching futility, and this was in the Daily News back in 2015. 50,000 kids, 90% of whom are minorities, indigent kids, attended schools where less than half the students graduated. Fewer than 1 in 10 are proficient in English. Think about that. All despite them getting this huge increase, just over 13% in their budget. Should we even be increasing that? Millions of kids across the nation, they're trapped in this cycle, this virtual, essentially these little Unions held strongholds. They're beholden to these ideas that these unions are pushing out there, like Common Core, where one's life determines what school they attend. Imagine this. They basically, I heard this analogy out there, and they said, look, imagine if you have a car. You need a new car. You're going out there, you want to buy one from a dealer, but you can only buy from one dealer, and it's based upon your home address. Imagine the price and the services that you might get if that dealership now has you as a captive customer. And so you need to imagine, is that what these kids are with these elitists that are controlling and restricting them in the schools? They're being held captured. You're only in this home. You can go to the school. You got to go through this certain process. And it's changed a little bit here now in Sarasota County. They just passed where you can now, you got school choice on where you want to go. It depends on their occupancy, and there's some factors in there. But these elitists, these progressives out there, they wouldn't dream of allowing their kids to attend public schools. Most of them send them to private, yet they sit there and tell us we need to go out there and do this with the public school system. They dictate the direction we need to go with the system. They say they support school choice, but that's all for themselves, while many out there don't have the choice. And like I said, here in Sarasota County, we get a little bit of a choice. Is it enough? I don't know. I don't think so. So Betsy DeVos comes in. This lady's a staunch supporter of charters. Good thing. I sent my kid to charter schools in middle school. Excellent experience for them. Privatizing schools, tax credits for homeschoolers. All things I love. Transferring the power from these government bureaucrats, these union bigwigs, to the consumer. What's wrong with that? And that's why the unions, the teachers and the teacher unions, because their unions are saying we need to go forward with this, are attacking this lady, saying she wants to privatize education. And if you look at it, American students are on average in literacy and math, average. We're not excelling. We used to excel. We're average at the least. And technology is deplorable. So what is it all about? Is it all about that the status quo wants to keep us dumbed down? They like us stupid Americans? If you think about it, most of the education gap is in the minority areas. So are they, let's say it, do they discriminate against blacks and Mexicans and a lot of the demographics that tend to be in that area? These are the same people that get out there and say, hey, there's a racist construct in America, in the history and in our republic. And it always cracks me up because the Democratic Party is not the party of the African American, the blacks. If you go back and look at all civil rights, it's all been driven by Republicans. But somehow they hijacked that whole civil rights thing, and I don't know how they did it. With that idiot, what's that congressman that doesn't want to? Congressman Lewis, I think is his name. I don't want to go to Trump's inauguration. He's not the president. He's not legitimate. He said the same thing about Bush, yet he says this is the first time he's not going to an inauguration. He didn't go to Bush's, and he said the same thing. He's not going to accept him. That extremist. All right, so back to this. We talk about this education. You got civics courses that are out there that teaching students that good citizens should be these radical activists that get out there and cause trouble in the streets. The center of everything that students do in college should be out there protesting instead of learning what American government was really all about. And like I said, in a lot of classes, they don't teach that American history anymore. It's a sad state of affairs here. We got basically a political system in which no one any longer believes. The bottom line here, though, is that our nation can withstand virtually anything that these progressives can cultivate. Masquerading public schools out there and public college education. Think about it. Nothing less than a paradigm shift is required if we want to restore the faith that we have in our schools. one that rests the control of our educational system away from these progressive educational complexes that are out there, from these union bosses that are out there. An attempt to restore America exceptionalism is what we need. Make America great again, as Trump is saying. And we need to take this in the right direction. And that's why I think Devos is right. With a lot of the ideas she wants to push out, obviously driven by Trump. But it's time to break these teacher union backs, because they're holding our kids back. And when you hold our kids back, they're our future, so you're holding our country back. Think about it. This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.